This is Dr. X.H. Balthazar. I am broadcasting once again to present my findings from the world of the uncanny. Today, I share with you the first in a series of interviews and investigations I conducted in and around Charleston, South Carolina, mere months ago. I was approached by a colleague from the Northam Institute. He implored me to travel to Charleston and interview a student of his, a woman by the name of Violet Landry. While hesitant of such a journey, I was assured that it would be worth my efforts. The following is my initial interview with Miss Landry. This is Dr. X.H. Balthazar. I am currently sitting in the home of Violet Landry in Charleston, South Carolina. It is the late afternoon. Miss Landry, would you please introduce yourself?
Please, call me Violet. I live currently in Charleston, studying botany, but I was bred off Ossabaw Island near Sapelo.
You're of Gullah descent, then?
I am. Not too many folks know that, or the Gullah, that is.
Correct me in error, but the Gullah reside all across the southeast, but their native homelands are the Barrier Sea Islands on the coasts of Georgia and South Carolina. So you were raised in the heart of Gullah culture.
That is correct, Doctor. Never met a man that knew the Gullah.
It is my job to know what is unknown, Violet.
So you say. But do you know the Boo Hag?
That is precisely the goal of my travels. So if you would, enlighten me.
In Gullah, they all know the Hag, a creature of the night. Some say a lost soul. Others say it never was nothing but a monster. When I was a little girl, my mother first explained what a Boo Hag is by saying I needed to be good or else it would come after me. She told me I needed to stay away from strangers because any of them could be a Boo Hag in hiding. I didn't know what she was talking about, but now I do. The Boo Hag looks like a person with no skin, nothing but the red underneath. They come at you while you're sleeping and feed off your breath to stay alive. It'll sit right on top of you in bed and press the air out of your lungs. That is until it gets its fill or the sun comes up. Most of the time, the people it feeds on just stay asleep. They wake up from a full night's rest and still feel tired, none the wiser that the Hag got them. But if you wake up and see the Boo Hag on top of you, there ain't nothing you can do but watch, lest you lose your skin.
How do you mean, lose your skin?
Well, like I said, the Boo Hag has got no skin. So to keep it from burning up in the sun, it needs a skin to hide in.
That is why your mother warned you of strangers.
The Hag could be anyone. It walks around in the plain day, searching for its next victim.
How does it determine its next prey?
Needs to find someone with a lot of energy. That's why it goes after the kids. Plenty of food for it. Plus, people say it'll stay with you for years, slowly sucking you dry, the spirit, till you just give out.
You seem certain of the Boo Hag's existence. Are you sure this is not simply a tale to keep children safe?
I'm certain.
Please, explain if you will.
Happened when I was 8 years old. I was walking home from school when I saw across the street what looked to be my uncle. I ran over to him to say hi, but when I got closer, I realized that it wasn't him, but a very strange person. He was limping around like he didn't know how to use his legs. When he said hello to me, his lips didn't move an inch. I tried to walk away, but he grabbed my arm, and we stared at each other for a moment. He didn't say anything, and I didn't say anything either, but I knew he was not good. I pulled away as hard as I could and ran all the way home. I just knew he watched me as I went.
It needed to know where you lived?
This could have been just a strange man, but I explained what I had seen to my mother. She ran after me with her shoe, screaming how stupid I was to run up to strangers like that because I didn't know what I was going to invite into the house, regardless if it was a spirit or not. I tried to apologize, but she wasn't listening to any of it. Eventually, tempers settled in our house, and everything remained somewhat normal until I got into bed.
It was that quick?
Yes, sir. The first night I saw it, I was sure to lock my window tight. But not long after I closed my eyes, I started hearing scratching. Thought it might be a rat or something, so I shot up and there it was, the hag's finger, wiggling through a half-inch crack in the wall. It was scraping away, trying to make the hole just a little bit bigger.
What did you do?
I screamed like hell, pardon my speaking, started crying and begging for my mother to save me. When I saw the finger rip a small bit off the wall, I ran straight out the room.
What did your mother have to say?
I begged and begged my mother to help me keep the Boo Hag away. She sighed and told me there was a way to stop it.
One moment. Continue.
Boo Hags love numbers, like counting things up. My mother told me that.
Curiously similar to that of demons or fairies. Do the Gullah refer to the hag as a demon?
Most say it's a spirit of some kind, but my mother would say that they were sent from below all else.
Did you use salt to deter the beast as well?
My mother told me to place a broom near the door, said it would have to count the bristles before it got to me, that I'd be safe all night. After I brushed my teeth and got cleaned up, my mother brought me the broom and a new nightgown. Said she had just made it for me that day. I didn't think anything of it. I was more interested in the broom. I laid with it in my hands, thinking it would keep me safer that way. I waited all that night for the creature to show up. It felt as though the night was never going to end. I waited till my eyes glazed over. I could feel sleep coming over me soon, but I needed to stay awake. I couldn't let this thing sneak up on me. Eventually, I passed out with the broom in my hands and was immediately awoken with the feeling of it being pulled away from me. I gripped the handle as tight as I could. I was too afraid to look down and see what I was fighting against, but I knew it was the hag. So I fought for my life. I did my best to hold the broom. My fear was getting the best of me. I started crying and shaking, but I remembered what my mother told me. So I took a deep breath and let go of the broom. I heard the creature scurry over to the corner of the room. It was quiet, and I waited a moment to see if I could hear it counting. But there was nothing. I wasn't sure if it had worked or what, so I perked up in bed to try to get a look at it.
What was the hag doing?
It was counting. As I got closer, I heard its whisper voice counting up. Faster than I could speak to you now. Its fingers ripping the broom comb out into the air. Before I knew it, the hag threw the broom to the floor. It was bare. I screamed and wrapped myself under my blanket. Not a second later, I felt the thing set down on my chest, like someone dropped a boulder on top of me. I couldn't move under the weight, and I saw those long red fingers prying under my quilt. It pulled my blanket off my head, and I saw it. I wanted to close my eyes, but I couldn't bear to look away. I struggled to keep the rest of the blanket on my body, but the hag began tearing it apart to get to me. As the blanket tore, I knew I was done for. But as I'd given up, the hag started screaming. It leaped off me and fell to the floor. I heard it skittering around left and right, up and down the walls. Once I regained some composure, I tried to see where it had gone. And there it was, squeezing through the hole it dug out of my wall.
It just left?
As soon as it got a look at me proper, it was scared. My mother used to joke that I was too ugly for it to want. But that wasn't it. I waited all night thinking it would come back. But when the sun rose, my mother come in and collected the bare broom and acted like nothing happened.
You mentioned a nightgown. Your mother made you?
Oh, it was nice, soft, and beautiful blue like I've never seen. After all was said and done, I was so in love with the color, I wore that thing up until I moved out to Charleston.
Interesting. Your mother seems to know a great deal about this creature.
She was a griot in her day, what my people call a storyteller. It was her duty to remember what would be forgotten. So, not unlike yourself, Doctor.
Violet, I would very much like to meet your mother in order to collect further data on the subject.
All in time, Doctor. This was not the first time I'd seen something I did not understand. The Boo Hag was not just a singular incident in my life, or my mother's.
Can you tell me about a few more? I am here for a few days and would like to study further.
There's plenty. I doubt a few days will be enough, but let me speak to some folks. A few more mysteries will make your trip worthwhile.
I parted ways with Violet after this conversation. She said she would compile a list of leads for me to follow regarding other phenomenon in the area. At first, I thought she was deceiving me, after the fame of simply telling an old man ghost stories. A man who believes in nightmares of a child is a gullible man indeed. Nevertheless, these nightmares have become my business. It was not long before I received the list from Violet. Addresses, phone numbers, a lighthouse, and an asylum. But it was the final note that caught my eye. Our time together grows slim. I will expand upon my findings in Charleston on a later date. So for now, goodbye and good night.